Yo, Russell Wilson, man. You know, let me be frankly honest. I'm not a big Russell Wilson fan. I don't think that he's really that great, but he put up great numbers in his first 3-4 years. Now that Russell Wilson is married, though, maybe Sierra's taking a little bit of that extra workout time and putting it into the bedroom time, which I ain't mad at. You know, you got a wife like Sierra, you gotta get in, but also at the same time, his production is decreased. It's not the same as it used to be. He has been dealing with injuries and stuff, but who knows, man? Maybe that married life is catching up to Mr. Wilson, and Mr. Wilson ain't really looking like he does in the neighborhood. But you know, we gonna see how it goes. They got a big match against the Patriots, so we gonna be watching that. We gonna make sure that we keep our eyes open and our ears open, and maybe the Seahawks can be the Seahawks of old. We'll see, but they definitely got the test, the biggest test that they can have, the best team in the NFL, the Patriots. So it's going to be good. It's going to be worth watching. Should the Broncos pull a Peyton Manning Part 2 and trade for Tony Romo? To me, I say it's a no-brainer. I mean, you know, the one thing in your offense that you're missing is a solidified, valid quarterback. Tony Romo is that. He's coming off of injuries. You know, Dak Prescott is looking like the man every single week. He's looking better and better. 7-1, you can't dispute that. So it's like, you know, the Cowboys have a really, really good shot at going maybe 14-2, 13-3. Why would you interrupt that type of chemistry to bring in Tony Romo and possibly end up losing 4 to 5 games in the season? Because he isn't ready. He's just healthy. He's just now getting back into his healthy regimen of football workouts and exhibitions and stuff like that. So, I mean, like, to me, I'm just kind of like, the Broncos have Trevor Siemian. They can go ahead and bench Trevor Siemian, because it's not like Trevor Siemian is Dak Prescott and he's out there and he's not making the mistakes and he's leading the team even though they have a stout offensive line. Like, this isn't the same case. This isn't the same scenarios. I think that Trevor Siemian does play more like a prototypical quarterback, as to where Dak Prescott is more of like a future quarterback. Isn't the guy that's going to throw you 45 to 50 touchdowns and 4,000 to 5,000 yards, but he definitely is going to get you about 25 to 30, get you around 3,500 yards, and he's mobile. He's mobile as well as being a pocket passer. I feel like Dak Prescott is the future. I feel like Tony Romo isn't. I feel like Tony Romo could definitely help a team that's ready to win now, like the Denver Broncos. And the Dallas Cowboys are already winning without Tony Romo. So, I mean, that's just pretty obvious. You know, Jerry Jones is going to make the move that he wants to make. But at the same time, I'm like, you know, if I were the Broncos and, you know, I'm looking at my defense and I'm like, my defense is legendary. But maybe we have one or too many pieces, you know, because, like, your defense could be all-time great. If you don't have an offense to back it up, everybody's like Trent Dilfer, but people don't remember Trent Dilfer had a running back there that was going to run for super amount of yards. You know, he had Ray Lewis in the defense, all of the people on the defense. Of course, I can name all of these other people, but I'm sticking to the other two because that'll be a long conversation for me. But, you know, there's exceptional teams like that, but I don't think that they won on the back of Trent Dilfer more than they did off of running the football and playing defense. I don't think that the Denver Broncos have the running staff that the Ravens had back then, so I think that it'll be a little bit harder without them having the arm to throw the football. Best wide receiver. This is a crazy conversation because there's always been Julio Jones and Odell Beckham Jr. To me, I don't think neither one of them. I think it's Larry Fitzgerald. I've always been big on Larry Fitzgerald. I've always said get Larry Fitzgerald a top 5 quarterback and watch him put up numbers that you couldn't even believe. They're unbelievable. Let's just put it like that. But you know, there's a conversation between Julio Jones, between AJ Green, between Larry Fitzgerald. You know, you got to put in Antonio Brown, because you know he does make a lot of noise. But I felt like once Big Ben kind of got pushed out of the door with the injury, his numbers started to fall. So I mean, you know, you gotta watch for stuff like that. I feel like Larry Fitzgerald is the one guy that hasn't had a consistent quarterback, but has always put up numbers, man. So, I mean, to me, I feel like Larry Fitzgerald is the best wide receiver. Let me get what y'all think inside the comments, please. Can David Johnson end up with the most yards from scrimmage? Man, look, I'm going to tell y'all like this. This guy is very magnificent, but I don't think he's going to get close. You know, he puts up a lot of yards, both from receiving and from rushing. So, I mean, you know, you got to take into account that he could actually be a force that comes up in those rankings and those all-time rankings for scrimmage yards in the season. But I don't think that he's going to eclipse it. I think that record's going to stay safe. Let me know what y'all think. Tom Brady being the best quarterback in football. Do you think it's true? Or do you go with somebody else? Do you go with a Matt Ryan? Do you go with a Drew Brees? Do you go with a Aaron Rodgers? To me personally, I got to give it up to Tom Brady, man. Tom Brady's just been the best. When you sit back and you think about all of the achievements, all of the years, all of the hard work that he's put in this year, he's looking better than he has in any other year. So it's kind of crazy to sit there and think that anybody could be better than Tom Brady. But, you know, it's not really that far of a discussion between Tom Brady and Drew Brees in my eyes. Drew Brees has always been a favorite of mine. I feel like he puts up big yards. He puts up big throws at very, very clutch times. I like his makeup. I just don't like his team's makeup. His team, it needs to be deeper. But it can't be that deep when somebody's taking $40 million out of the payroll. Come on, Breeze. You gotta take a step back. If you want to get to the level of being all-time great, you gotta have more than one Super Bowl. I mean, Eli beat you to the punch. Eli has 2 Super Bowls and you have 1. You got to start thinking about your legacy a little bit more than you think about your pockets, because your pockets have already been heavy for a minute. So, you know, but let me know what y'all think, man. Top quarterbacks. I'm going to release that after I release my rankings in the NFL 1 through 32. You know, I'm going to go ahead and in-depth over the top 10, and then, you know, 11 through 32 will be through a list that you'll see. You know, we're going to get it in. That's how we do on CGMTV. We keep it frank. We keep it honest. And the best defense in football. At one point this season, the Vikings had me sold. So much to the point where I said they would be in the Super Bowl, because I felt like the Vikings were a altered version of what the Carolina Panthers were. I thought that they had a very stout defense with a good enough offense that can carry them into the Super Bowl. But the Vikings have crumbled once again, like the Vikings always do. It's sad because, I mean, you know, Sam Bradford, that's my dog, Oklahoma. He's an Oklahoma Sooner. I've always liked Oklahoma Sooner football. Don't judge me. Don't get me. It's USC and Oklahoma. I've always been big on Oklahoma. Especially, you know, when I saw AP run the football, I was like, man, this dude is special. He's going to be special. And that's the Oklahoma Sooner that they're missing very, very, very badly right now. They held up for 8 games without Adrian Peterson, but right now they need Adrian Peterson. They at least need him to be a distraction for Sam Bradford, because Sam Bradford is getting lit up. I mean, he can't even stand back there with his grandma for protection, because defensive linemen are just hitting them back to back. They would hit him so fast that they wouldn't even recognize his grandma standing next to him. That's how bad it is. And it's just crazy, man. You can't ask for too much from the defense when they're out there 40 out of the 60 minutes of the game. I mean, it's just crazy. They got to work something out with that offensive line. I hope AP comes back so then that way I'm not looking like a fool over my Super Bowl prediction on Halloween. But we going to see. Time tells all. Let's get into these rankings. The number one team in football, the New England Patriots, standing at 7-1. Tom Brady, no doubt the MVP, because he's a bad man. Yeah, Stephen A. Smith, I said it. He's the bad man that Aaron Rodgers is not anymore. I mean, you know, there's no disputing who America's team is. It's the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots run things as far as the NFL goes. I don't see it changing, man. To be honest with you, I think Tom Brady's going to run the field. I don't think anybody's going to break this streak. But they have a very big game coming up, and it's against the Seahawks, which is a rivalry game, believe it or not. Once you see how that Super Bowl ended, you knew that that was the next rivalry in the NFL. So they got a big game, 7-1. Seattle Seahawks next. I think Tom Brady is going to make a big statement in this game. Why? Because it's a very, very stout defense. So we're going to see. But New England Patriots, number one. Number two, Dallas Cowboys, 7-1. You know, Dak Prescott, I mean, once he loses, you know, Jerry Jones is going to bring back Tony Romo, which is sad. But it is what it is, man. But to me, I'm just like, the chemistry that they have shouldn't be interrupted. Kind of like the Dallas Cowboys when they made the playoffs the last time, when they had Tony Romo and DeMarco Murray, and DeMarco Murray was carrying the ball all the time while taking some of the responsibility away from Tony Romo, who, you know, was statistically had his best year. His MVP year came when DeMarco Murray was running the ball. The Cowboys had a smash mouth offensive chemistry, and the defense was allowed to eat off of the offense. I feel like that's the same thing that's happening this year. But, you know, I mean, Jerry Jones is stuck on having Tony Romo be a Super Bowl quarterback, which he's not. Jerry Jones, Tony Romo will never win you a Super Bowl. You have a better chance with Dak Prescott leading you to a Super Bowl victory than Tony Romo. You know why? Because Tony Romo is built kind of like Brett Favre. Brett Favre had a chance to take the Minnesota Vikings to the Super Bowl, and in the championship game turned around and threw 5 interceptions. That's what you get with a high-risk, high-reward type of player. Be smart. Contact the Broncos or contact a team that has a stout defense. Try to pick up some draft picks, some defensive players, trade Tony Romo, maybe even Dez Bryant. But Dez Bryant seems to be working with the team a little bit more. Seems to be letting go of his grip of Tony Romo support a little bit more over the past couple of weeks. So we'll see, you know. But Dallas Cowboys are the number 2 team. Number 3, the Oakland Raiders. It's crazy how you can go from being the worst team, possibly the worst team, in disputes with being the worst team last year, to being in disputes with being one of the best teams this year. You know, if they were 7-1, they would be in the conversation of being one of the best teams in the league. They're 7-2. You know, who would have thought that the Patriots would have a test other than the Broncos? And the crazy thing is that the test is better than the Broncos. The Raiders, the potential upset that the Raiders present to the Patriots is astronomical. I can't believe what I'm saying, but I think that the Raiders could actually beat the Patriots in the AFC Championship game if Khalil Mack and that defense can get themselves rallied back up to being what they were. But if not, it should be an easy challenge by Tom Brady and the crew. I do see it being still New England versus Minnesota. I'm going to stick to my pick even though Minnesota's having some rough times. But who knows? We may end up having the Oakland versus Dallas Super Bowl. That will be interesting to watch too. A lot of people are like Dallas versus New England would be the America's dream Super Bowl. But think about two teams that haven't been to the Super Bowl in over a decade getting there and clashing head to head, mano y mano. Ooh, boy, that would be that. And then Dak Prescott, Derek Carr, two quarterbacks of the future. Man, that would be a great matchup. But with the wide receiver core and everything else in alignment, like I say, the Raiders only have one other obstacle that they have to get over, and that's their defense. So we'll see. But you know, right now the Oakland Raiders, number 3. Number 4, the Denver Broncos. Like I was saying earlier, man, you know, they're 6-3, but that's not because Trevor Siemian is a great quarterback. It's more of because they have a outstanding defense that can withstand some of the offensive deficiencies that Denver has. John Elway, he's going to have to address this issue. He's going to have to address this issue because he doesn't understand, but there's only so much gas in that defensive tank before it ends up being empty. Once it goes empty, they could end up one of those 9-7, 8-8 teams because right now their defense is running on fumes. And I don't see Trevor Siemian being the quarterback that can take you to a 12-4, 13-3 season. Which would mean that they would have to win out for the rest of the season to get to 13-3 or have one loss to get to 12-4, which I don't see happening. You know, they could very well end up being, like I said, a 9-7, 8-8 team if they don't end up getting a better quarterback. So we'll see where Trevor Siemian can take them. But I feel like them reaching another Super Bowl is a reach in itself. Number 5, the Kansas City Chiefs. Losing Alex Smith doesn't seem to look like a big deal after the Chiefs keep on rolling with Nick Foles, man. I mean, it seems like Andy Reid's offense is a simple one. You can plug in any quarterback with a decent arm, hand the ball off, throw about 25, 30 times, run about 25, 30 times, and have a defense that's just going to smash you dead in the mouth. Could they be another team that wants to trade for Tony Romo? Who knows? I know I'm throwing Tony Romo's name out there, but I'm wanting somebody to trade for Tony Romo, so in that way, Dak Prescott and the achievement that he has achieved so far throughout the midseason doesn't go unnoticed. And it would go unnoticed if you just plug somebody in. But the Chiefs are in a deep NFC West conference. I mean, it could go their division. It can go either way. Three of the 4 teams are in the top 5. The Broncos, the Chiefs, and the Raiders are all in the NFC West. You want to talk about a dominant conference? That's a dominant conference. The AFC is a dominant conference, and the AFC West is a dominant division by far. So now we're going to get into the number 6 team, a team that I predicted to be in the Super Bowl. But they're 2 games away from being 500 right now. the Minnesota Vikings. I got them at number 6, even with their defensive woes. I feel like they're going to get it back together. Sam Bradford's going to get it back together. They're going to stop turning the ball over. They're going to stop all of this nonsense, and they're going to get back to smash mouth football. I feel like Adrian Peterson is due to come back sometime soon now. And, things are going to go right for them. So, we're going to see exactly how that goes. The Atlanta Falcons are my number 7 team at 6-3. Matt Ryan and the gang, they look like they're having a walkthrough to the playoffs. The Saints are making a little bit of noise, but I don't expect them to do too much, So I feel like the Atlanta Falcons have the NFC South as far as I'm concerned. But we'll see, man. They've been prone to putting up some disastrous seasons, and the Saints are prone to taking away the Falcons' thunder. I hope it doesn't happen this year. I hope we get to go ahead and represent for the NFC, even though I picked the Vikings. If I were to have a second team to come out of the NFC, I would think they would be the Falcons. They're seasoned, they're ready. They've been together for X amount of years, and it's time to go ahead and make that push. If you're Matt Ryan, to go ahead and solidify yourself as one of the best quarterbacks ever. And the only way that you do that is if you go to the Super Bowl and win one. You got to win a championship. Unless if you put up Dan Marino numbers. Now, if you put up Dan Marino numbers, then you're going to be solidified. But there's maybe one Dan Marino every 400 starting quarterbacks, 400, 500 starting quarterbacks. You can't really bank on the fact that you're going to have a legacy like that, or you're going to have a career like that, or you're going to have an arm like that. So, Matt Ryan, Atlanta Falcons, number 7. I feel like they're going to keep on rolling to this great season that you can call so far. I feel like they'll end up with a record of maybe 11-5, 12-4, somewhere around there. We'll see. Time will tell all. Number 8, the Seattle Seahawks at 5-2-1. I don't care how healthy, how normal, how much the Seahawks are looking like they used to. There's some serious locker room issues with the Seattle Seahawks. And if they don't get some of their characters in order and in check, then it's gonna be a long season for them. And it doesn't mean that it's gonna be a long season as far as wins and losses. It's gonna be a long season as far as them being able to pick that chemistry back up, because when they were winning, it's all smiles and hugs and dap and love, but when they losing, it's a whole nother playing field. And it's like, I feel like, they may end up losing a couple of games in the second half of the season that may end up being an issue. They still got 8 games left, so don't think it's just a wrap that they're going to make the playoffs and they're going to be this dominant Seattle Seahawks team that they've always been, especially if they lose to New England. Because if they lose to New England, now they're 5-3-1, which will be a very, very, very big hole to dig themselves out of. I think that it's possible, but we'll see. Time tells all. But right now, I got the Seahawks as my number 8 team. I think that they got some character issues to work with. I don't think that they're a dynasty like everybody else does. I don't put them in my top 5. My top 5 are the top 5 records in the league. If you don't have a top 5 record in the league, you're not a top 5 team. So that's that. That's been said. The Seattle Seahawks, number 8. Number 9, the Houston Texans. You gotta realize this team was looked at as being dug in the grave once J.J. Watt went down. Once J.J. Watt went down, everybody said the Texans are done. Brock Osweiler isn't holding up his side of the contract, which he still isn't upholding his part of the contract. I mean, you know, how are they gonna get past J.J. Watt being gone? Jadeveon Clowney isn't the defensive end that people expected him to be, and here they are, 5-3, still winning, regardless of what division they're in. They're still winning. Andrew Luck could be 5-3, but he's 4-4 right now. He doesn't put in the work that you need to put in to win. And it's just that simple. I mean, like, you know, I hate saying that because a lot of people will try and criticize me for saying that. But let's just be frankly honest. You put Andrew Luck out there on the Houston Texans, and I think they're still 5-3 because Andrew Luck is a better arm, and he's a way better quarterback than Brock Osweiler. But Brock Osweiler has to play the role of game manager, as to where Andrew Luck would come in playing the gunslinger game, which I don't think would work in this setting because for some kind of reason they just can't seem to get their offense together really ever. So, I mean, you know, he would throw interceptions as well as touchdowns. You know, DeAndre Hopkins would be a fantasy wide receiver right now if they had Andrew Luck. But, you know, I don't think that his offensive advantages would counteract his offensive disadvantages, which is why I think this Colts are in the position that they're in right now. You know, I feel like sometimes Andrew Luck gives opposing defenses opportunities that they shouldn't have. You know, instead of a defense being out there 5 times a game, the defense is out there 8 to 10 times a game because he'll throw 2 to 3 interceptions, or he'll get 2 interceptions and have a fumble. I've never liked the gunslinging mentality. I didn't like when Brett Favre did it. I don't like when Andrew Luck is doing it. And I feel like the game manager, Brock Osweiler, is actually kind of keeping them away from losing a couple of games by throwing 13 for 28, even though that's below 50% completion rate. It's still crazy to think that he may be a better option, but he just doesn't commit as many turnovers, which could very well be it could very well end up being anywhere from 6 to 14 points at the end of the day. 6 to 16 actually, if you do 2-point conversion. So, you know, the never say die Texans, that's what I'm going to start calling them now, because every single time it seems like they're down and they're out, they find a way to get themselves back into the conversation. So that's my number 9 team, you know, 5-3. But like I said, the Colts are 4-4, so they're only 1 game behind. So they don't need to get too comfortable. And the number 10 team, the 10th team on the list, the New York Giants. I'm not gonna be the one to doubt Eli ever again, because every single time I doubt Eli, it seems like he comes away with one of the most breathtaking performances ever. And you're sitting there like, why didn't you do this throughout the whole season? Watch, I'm telling you, the Giants are going to find their way into being the number 1 team in their division. Yes, I think they're going to take it away from the Cowboys. Ironically, I think that they're going to end up finding their way being number 1 in the division. They're going to find their way into the playoffs, and they're going to find their way into the Super Bowl. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being the New England Patriots versus the New York Giants in the Super Bowl. And guess who ends up winning? Eli Manning. If Eli Manning beats Tom Brady 3 times, we're going to, me and every single ESPN analyst that you want to bring on a stage with me can sit down and have a conversation about Eli Manning being elite. Because I don't see how any damn analyst can sit up there with a straight face and say Eli Manning is not elite. How do you win 2 Super Bowls and not be elite? I don't care if Jim Plunkett is not in the Hall of Fame. He should be. If he won 2 Super Bowls, he should be in the Hall of Fame. I feel like anybody that is a part of a 2 Super Bowl victorious team should be actually a starter. I shouldn't say anybody, because there's people that are on the bench that don't even get to see the daylight. I don't mean them, but starters, every single starter of a championship dynasty like that, because even though they haven't won in 5-6 years, it doesn't matter. They won 2 Super Bowls in the span of 5 years. Crazy. I mean, you know, and if Eli wins a third one within 10, salute. To me, he would be one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. And, I mean, it would be what it is. But the New York Giants, number 10, that's where they stand. Here come the rest of the rankings.